Hello everyone, it is Snuster Network, aka Snuffy, and I'm just going to start off by saying I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm recording this outside, but without further ado, welcome to the first episode of In the Diecast Draft here on the Stop Motion Radio Network, and there was some pretty big news that came out today, and actually only 2 hours ago, as the time of recording this. But there was some pretty big news for the Miscraft Cup Series that has dropped, and in today's episode, we're just going to take a look at it. Multiple announcements regarding next season, including most of the schedule was leaked, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the NASCAR Miscraft Cup Series 2024 season information video. Now, Season 9 is just around the corner, and hopefully you guys are excited for it, because I know I am, and I am so close to getting ready to start filming this thing, and it's going to be fun. I feel like I've got a lot of really cool ideas for the season that I want to put in, and, just exhibit how awesome stop motion animation can be. So to kind of keep a timeline for this season here, I'm going to start out in February, right around the Daytona 500, probably a little bit before.
So there is the first important point about next year's schedule. I know I kind of just let it play there for a second. I was letting it go through the little intro, but it was confirmed. Of course, Season 9 should be beginning in mid-February of 2024 with the Daytona 500. Not to anyone's surprise, that's how the season would usually begin. Now let's take a look at the rest of the schedule.
So about mid-February there, right around the Valentine's Day holiday. And then it's going to be a 12-race season taking us all the way into the summer months here. And everything's kind of laid out in a way where it'll probably be about 2 races per month. And that's, going to be...
Now note that that's pretty important. So I don't remember... We've either been having 10 to 12 race seasons in the Miscraft Cup Series recently. So the interesting piece of news there is, of course, we've got the 12 race schedule, and the series will be running twice a month. So for 6 months approximately, we will have the Miscraft Cup Series drivers going at it. So we will have half a year of racing beginning in February.
Something that I kind of have been trying to upkeep for the longest time with my stop motions, but sometimes it gets hard, especially with college. So that's why I'm going to hopefully be able to get a lot of stuff pre-recorded for the launch in February. So we're going to start out with the Daytona 5.
Now here's the part we're really going to discuss. For the 12 race season, 10 of the races have been leaked, and we're going to discuss the schedule, and I'm going to talk about what I think of the schedule. So, of course, as he mentioned, starting out with Daytona, we know that provides great racing in the Miscraft Cup Series. We've seen a lot of memorable finishes. I apologize for the car noises. I guess it fits the theme of the show. But we've seen a lot of memorable finishes in the MCS at those tracks, like Daytona and Talladega. And we know they provide very good racing. So I think, however that goes, we'll be satisfied with it. We've seen lots of great finishes over the years. Season 7 comes to mind, for example. That was a good one. We saw a lot of underdogs up front there. We've seen lots of terrible crashes. Think Alex Bowman, I believe that was at Daytona. I believe it was Corey LaJoie who had a nasty crash there. Denny Hamlin has wrecked really badly there, among many other notable crashes in series history. So we can all expect a good showing from that race. Now, race 2 on the season is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I'm not completely sure if the Miscraft Cup Series has actually ran there before. I'm thinking about it. Might be something new for them. But I think it would definitely provide some great racing, especially if it's modeled after, some of the racing we've had in the Cup Series recently with memorable finishes, such as the most recent one. We've seen lots of drama there, such as the Wallace and Larson incident last year. So I think if that translates into the Miscraft Cup Series, we're going to have a pretty good show for the second race. And, we'll see we'll see who wins that next year. Probably, I'd say that one would be late February to early March would be when we see them go to Las Vegas. Now, the 3rd and 7th races, if you notice there, they're secret. We don't know what tracks they're going to be at. Now, if I look through the rest of this, I do not see the Miscraft Racing Complex on there. And I'm assuming because he's keeping it a secret what the tracks are, either the Miscraft Racing Complex is completely off the schedule, or it's going to have some sort of new configuration or detail to it. So I feel like looking through the rest of it, there are no other road courses. So I'd assume 3 and 7 could be road courses. Now, my predictions for that, again, we're either going to have some sort of fantasy track, Miscraft Racing Complex-esque racetrack, or we're going to have a street course, I'd say. We saw him do a street course. They ran a street course in Season 8, and it was Blizzard Town. Now, I think that a bold prediction going into this, I can definitely see the MCS running at the Chicago Street Race. I think that would be pretty good. We've seen Sarai Cup Series do that before, and I honestly think that, you know, it would work with the Miscraft Cup Series, and I feel like by then, you know, we could see drivers such as Shane Van Gisbergen make their Miscraft Cup Series debut with the pre-orders on Circle B. They have a lot of good ones on there this year. So I feel like we're going to see SVG make his debut, and that either race 3 or 7 will be the Chicago Street Race. Doing it earlier in the season would kind of be sudden, so I feel like that's going to be some fantasy track. And race 7 is right before the regular season finale. I think that would put a lot of hype. You know, we can get a good racing product, see what SVG can do, and that'll launch us into Talladega. So I think that would be a bold prediction to have. I can definitely see Chicago being on the schedule, or some sort of fantasy track, or maybe something we haven't even thought of. You know, they could run Mid-Ohio, they could run Sonoma, you know, they could even run Montreal. Like, I think that would be really cool, is if a YouTuber actually went and they had the series race Montreal. If somebody could do that. There's also, this is a really long shot, but the street course that the Pinty series runs, which Alex Tagliani won this year, that would be cool to see as well. That's a really long shot. My definite predictions would definitely have to be a fantasy track like the Miscraft Racing Complex or something new, or the Chicago Street Course. Moving into race 4 at Phoenix, that one's also probably going to be a really good race. I can definitely see the restarts. Those will be crazy, assuming that the MCS follows the way Phoenix restarts go in real life. That will be a really good racing product. I also can't seem to recall a Phoenix race there, especially if he would be using that tactic, because I would probably remember Diecast cars going 5 wide into turn 1. So if that is a new addition to the schedule, that would also be really cool to see. Bristol for race 5, definitely a solid choice. I believe we've seen them run Bristol dirt for at least the last 1 or 2 seasons. So it looks like they're heading back to the concrete, the original paved version of the racetrack. I think that'll provide a good racing product as well. We're definitely going to see some good stuff there, and that'll be nearing the halfway point of the season. And after that, they go to Southside Speedway, which, don't quote me on this, I think it's a fictional track. It definitely has the styling and colors of his channel. I believe that's one of his fantasy tracks, one of his smaller short tracks, one of the shorter tracks that they go to for the MCS, if I'm remembering correctly. I definitely think we'll see some good racing there. We'll have a nice short track battle. I was trying to think of drivers who would do good on short tracks, and it reminded me Kevin Harvick has retired in real life, which should transfer over to the Miscraft Cup Series. Begging the question, will Josh Berry also be driving the 4 in this series? I'd assume yes, and he can do pretty good on short tracks. So honestly, Josh Berry could be a legitimate threat to win maybe Bristol or Southside, or even Richmond later on, if you look ahead in the schedule. Richmond. So now we're at the halfway point. They've ran Southside. I talked about 7 already. I can see that being Chicago Street Course for race 7. that will be fun to see if that is indeed the race. I feel like either way, if Chicago's in here or not, Shane Van Gisbergen will make his Miscraft Cup Series debut. It's probably inevitable. I can definitely see that happening. So we've already talked about what we think the slot for 7 will be. Either way, I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of road course-esque racetrack, because there doesn't seem to be any other ones on the schedule that have been shown yet. And the regular season finale at Talladega Superspeedway. We've seen a lot of good racing produced there over the years too. Iconic crashes, iconic finishes in the Miscraft Cup Series. We've also seen some racing there before, in the times before the Raptor Truck Series, actually back when there was the exhibition races, and there was probably the closest thing to an MRN broadcast that the Miscraft Cup Series has seen, when they had an announcer stationed on the back straightaway, and that was pretty cool. I didn't quite like the timing. It wasn't quite MRN-esque enough, but it was still pretty cool to see. So we've seen a good racing product there over the years, for sure, and I think that'll be a good race as well. And as a regular season finale, in contrast to the Cup Series that runs Daytona, they've got them at Talladega, another super speedway, the iconic tri-oval with the finish line much further down. So I think we'll see another good finish there, and I'm predicting that we're going to see someone lock their way into the chase, as it's going to be called. I think we'll see someone lock their way into the chase there, or something like that. I think we're going to see a clutch victory at Talladega, and that launches us into the 3-race round of 8 for the Miscraft Cup Series, starting with race number 9 at the Kansas Speedway. We've seen the Cup Series, Miscraft Cup Series, run there for a while now. I believe they had it as their season finale a few years ago. It's always been a interesting race. We've seen lots of stuff happen there over the years. It's produced good racing for a season finale, and I think as a playoff opener, it would work as a pretty good track. Pretty good track for a playoff opener. And then we're at the 3rd super speedway in the 12-race season, so I guess they're keeping it kind of real life focus with all these super speedways they're running now. A 4th of the season will be on super speedways, as far as we know, and that is Atlanta Motor Speedway, the home track for the series, or the creator of the series, I should say. So that will be a good race. We've seen good racing in multiple Miscraft races. You know, I did a call for the finish of the one that I believe, the one that Noah Gragson flipped at. I called that finish a while ago. Miscraft actually watched that, which is pretty cool. So, you know, we've seen great racing and wrecking there over the years. And we've also seen them put on a good show for the NASCAR Community Cup Series there. So at this specific stop motion track configuration of Atlanta. So we're going to see a good product out of that. Final chance to make it to the Final Four at Richmond, where we know there are good short track drivers, such as Denny Hamlin, where we're going to have Josh Berry in the series most likely. I think that'll put on a good show as well. And it'll be a very high-stakes race. Like, I don't know if Richmond has ever been much of a high-stakes race for this series, but with it being the regular, not the regular season finale, the playoff finale, the final chance to get into the Final Four, I definitely think we're going to see a lot of high stakes. We might see some retaliation. We'll see some fierce racing, and I think it's going to be a really good race. And an interesting finale, Darlington Raceway. Again, another track that I've called at one point. I did a call for an entire Darlington race here, which had great racing. There was some very, very intense battles. We saw some wild wrecks. Kevin Harvick getting totaled, you know. That race, if you remember that, I believe that was season 7 or 8 that happened. So we know Darlington can put on a good show. As a finale, I think it could work. You know, we've seen different finales and completely different schedule basically every year for the MCS. And I think Darlington definitely would be a good product for a finale where we can crown another champion. So that would be fun to see. So Darlington will be a good one. So definitely make sure to watch out for all these races next year. I think there's a few more things that we need to cover, though, so let's keep going.
I'm debating whether I want to do duels or not. It's just going to be a time constraint, honestly.
I don't think we had duels maybe once for the series, so if he does have the time for that, I definitely think that would be really cool to see. If we ever did have duels, it was probably that year where he had a whole 1 hour race broadcast where he did like a double header, all the pre and post race show stuff, and the Xfinity series ran a race there. So if there's time, I think duels would be really cool.
That, but I really want to do duels. And then we're going to follow up with Las Vegas, and then we're going to do a secret race at a track that I will unveil to you guys later on.
Yeah, so right here he's just talking about all the other ones. He's basically going through the schedule, but in a lot less detail than what I did. So as he mentioned, the secret tracks will be later, mixing up my words here, they will be revealed later on.
Probably right after the Las Vegas race, and then we're going to go into Phoenix, Bristol, Southside, and then another secret race
which is
for race
probably
number
going
7,
to be
and then the
Chicago.
regular season finale will be at the Talladega Super Speedway.
That'll be a
and
show.
Yes, that's right, we're doing a playoff format, and I will get on into that in just a moment. So
yeah, so the playoff format I think slightly differs from what he usually does, so we're going to cover that as well.
Races 9, 10, 11, and 12 into the extended season with 2 extra races than normal. We'll start out with Kansas.
Okay, so I was right earlier. It was usually a 10-race season, and he's extended it to 12. So it's definitely going to be a longer season, but I think it's going to keep the fans wanting to stick around because this latter part of the season is definitely going to be good and one to watch.
Atlanta, Richmond, and then Darlington Raceway to end out the season. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. It's been a little while trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the season, and we're going to do a lot of smaller tracks while I'm at school, and then we're going to go back to the bigger tracks once I get back home and into the actual studio to film.
Noise.
So, that's the plan for next year on the schedule. Of course, it's tentative.
Yeah,
Things are probably going to change somewhere at some point, I'm sure. Like maybe one race might get flipped or something like that.
Right.
So,
and there's some
I'm thinking that might
race.
just be something that
that's the one
happens,
I
but I'll keep you guys updated on that. I'll probably make a document on all of this and release to you guys.
You can see how good of a show Darlington can definitely put on.
But the next big thing is the playoff system, and what I'm going to call the chase for the NASCAR Miscraft Cup Series season number 9. So it'll be the round of...
So here we go. I guess I was wrong. So there is no, win and you're in format. I don't know if Miscraft Cup Series has ever actually had that, but the chase is going to be a big thing next year. So it's a round-based system, of course, so just like the playoffs. And as I talked about, they have the regular season for, I believe it was 8 races. Then there's a 3-race round of 8, and then there is a finale. So as you can see here, it's a round-based system, of course. The top 8 in points after race 8 at Talladega move on. So I think a clutch win at Talladega, if you're high enough up in points and if you get lucky with where the other drivers around you place, it could still get you into the playoffs, especially since he says at one point that he would consider moving it from like 35 points to you still get 40 if you win. So, getting 40 points, if you're within striking distance, it would definitely come in handy. So the top 8 in points after the first 8 races of the regular season move on, and the top 4 after race 11 at Richmond. And here comes another loud vehicle. But yeah, after Richmond, the top 4 in points would race for the title. And it's too early to make any title predictions. We don't know much of anything yet. I would probably we'll cover that later on. Once we get into season 9.
8 and into the final 4 for the last 4 races of the season. So Kansas, Atlanta, and Richmond is going to be the first races of the chase.
Yep.
And for the regular season races, it's just going to be points. The highest 8 drivers in points will run to fight for a championship. And within the last 4 races, we will have those 8 drivers be fiddled down to 4, all in points. There's going to be no win you're in system for this season. So just going to keep it simple. The way points are earned will most likely stay the same. Maybe add a few extra points here because I'm going to have more drivers than usual. So
now that's an interesting thing that I think I missed on my first watch of this news report here. More drivers than usual. Now I think that'll be interesting because usually, depending on the track size, we definitely see a difference in field sizes. Probably it's usually between like 25 and up to 40 cars. So assuming there's going to be bigger fields, I definitely think a bigger points payout would be nice at all the tracks with bigger fields, which means we'll probably have more full-time drivers, and we'll also probably see interesting part-timers, such as SVG.
Or maybe may get 40 points instead of 35, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of just the big thing there with how the schedule is going to be looking, with the chase format and everything like that. Got to add a little bit more drama to the whole thing. And I'm very excited for that because I haven't done a chase system. I guess it'll be 5 seasons, actually, I think, since I last did it, because I believe I last did it in...
Yes, in the background there, you can see some of more of the Atlanta racing product. And yeah, he's talking about how long it's been since the last time a chase format was used, and it's been a while. So it'll be an interesting new way for the MCS to kind of run their season.
Season 4, so
wow,
almost 5 years ago. Holy cow, that is absurd. There. So so that's it for the schedule there. The next big thing that you guys are going to be most excited for is sponsor signups will be back into effect here for the Miscraft Cup Series in season number 9.
Now that's another interesting thing that I didn't see coming. I kind of got it spoiled when I first clicked on the video and I read the comments. But yes, signups will be returning. So us as fans will be able to sponsor different drivers. And, if you've been on YouTube for a while or you've gone back and watched older stop motions, you've seen how Eric Eastep did that. The top 5, it would, in the finishing order, I believe it would list their sponsors. Some people would have like multiple pages depending on the driver, and others would have like 3. And so it was kind of cool to see the underrated, under-sponsored drivers finish well. He talks about how that's going to work a little bit more, so let's play to that.
And I'm really excited for this one. Hopefully I can get you guys all in there on the drivers that you want. No limitations on how many people can sign up for each driver.
Yeah, see, that's another interesting thing. That is definitely Eric Eastep style stuff there. No limitations, so, we can have multiple people for the same driver instead of some other series where it's just one per driver. I know my colleague here on the Stop Motion Radio Network will definitely be putting his name under Ryan Preece. I don't really know who I'm going to pick yet, but yeah, shout out GC37, my only Stop Motion Radio Network colleague at the moment. We've got some good stuff coming for you soon. We'll be heading over to the Martinsville race to call. So stay tuned for that. We have a 3M Cup Series Martinsville race call planned out. So please subscribe for that. But yeah, with the signups, I think that was definitely an interesting thing most people didn't see coming. And right here you can see the Blizzard Town thing that I mentioned.
It's going to be really, really cool. All your names are going to be most likely shown during the starting lineup or during results or something of the sorts.
Yeah, so starting lineups or results where all the channel names will be shown. So that'll definitely be a cool aspect for the season next year. I'm kind of in the mood for, if the Rick Ware cars are full-time, I might just have to sign up for one of them.
I'll find a way to get everyone's name scrolled through for each of the drivers that have the sponsors. So that's really pretty much it there for now that I kind of want to put out there for the season. That's really the only things that I have set in stone for the Season 9 season for the Miscraft Cup Series. Of course, a lot of things I'm working on, like graphics and some audio things like that. But other than that, honestly, that's pretty much all I really have to say about what's going on for Season 9. And yeah, I'm really excited for it if you guys are too. I know
Martinsville was the finale last season, so we've seen Kansas last season. We've seen Kansas and Martinsville's finales, so I think Darlington will still work as a good finale.
Cup Series racing has been a little bit sparse on the channel for stop motion style of videos, but I'm sure once the Raptor Truck Series gets done with the last 3 races coming out soon, we will get...
So there's another interesting piece of news. We do have 3 races left in the Raptor Truck Series, and unfortunately I have not really been following that series at all, so I should probably get caught up on that. I remember there was that fight with Stuart Friesen and someone else, but that's about it. So he mentions 3 more races, and then he'll start working on Miscraft Cup Series Season 9. So yeah, I think that's about it. We took almost half an hour to cover this one little 5-minute news thing here, but I definitely think it was pretty important. So if you liked what you heard and you also are ready for some radio style stop motion calls, make sure to subscribe down below. We're also looking for more turn announcers and pit reporters because, of course, again, right now we've only got me and GC37, so we're going to have to cover smaller tracks. But if we can get more people on the crew, we can cover tracks that are much larger. Road courses especially would be cool. We would need a big crew for that, and super speedways. Pocono would be fun to do. We have a Pocono race picked out. So yeah, just subscribe down below. This is a new project that I've really been thinking about doing for a while, and I can do more show episodes for you guys if you want, covering diecast news and results in the community. And yeah, till next time, Snuster Network out.